Good day to everybody. This is Jelly Belly back with another video. Thanks everyone for tuning in. Hit the like button, comment, subscribe and share. I'm going to keep this really quick because I don't really have a lot to say. I said that last time and the video was quite long. But I'm going to try and keep it brief. This video is going to be about the rags to riches story and why it's detrimental to people who hope in it too much. This is inspired by some conversations that I was listening to about brothers who come out of prison and they get parties thrown for them. You know, sometimes it's a little bit maybe the divorce party culture that we have right now, people celebrating the breakdown of their marriage. Obviously, a lot of people love a whole, I turned my life around story, blah, blah, blah. And a couple of things came to mind when I was thinking about this mindset. We all have a history. We all have made mistakes. Most of us have made mistakes. Some bigger, some smaller. Some have been really egregious mistakes. Prison-worthy mistakes. Or we've been to prison and, done our time and come out. And although people who have made mistakes, you could say they deserve a second chance, it's really sad that people who have made a lot of mistakes get a lot more time and attention than the people who've been doing the right thing consistently. It's almost like the attention and the recognition and the pats on the back are like a reward. And negativity is contagious. If you have something that's negative, as human beings, we naturally gravitate towards it. Sometimes it's a preservation thing, like, for example, I need to identify a risk or a danger. But sometimes the things that are negative are also very pleasurable. Basic example, junk food. For a lot of people, we all know junk food is not even real food. It shouldn't qualify as food. But it tastes good at the time. It gives us a sugar rush. It gives us a little bit of a fix. And then what happens? We start to get all kind of sicknesses, gain weight, blah, blah, blah. That moment of instant gratification, is not worth the lifetime consequences that come with that bad choice. And it's like you have rebellious children who get special help. And I'm not talking about children who have a condition. Maybe they have dyslexia, they have behavioral problems, autism, and they need specialized care and attention. I'm talking about just bad kids. You have kids that are going into gangs, they're dropping out when they're doing well at school, they're choosing to throw away their good upbringing to go into the streets, they go into crime and all these problems, and then they come back and they're like, I've turned my life around, and everyone's like, yay, the prodigal son or daughter has returned. And it's like, what about the one who never got into trouble? What about the one that consistently got straight A's and never complained? It's like, for the hard work and the effort that they have put in, instead of a reward and a pat on the back, they're like, well, that's what you should do anyway. We don't need to worry about you because we know you've got it covered. What this is going to do over time is demotivate people to want to do the right things. It's going to demotivate people who are doing, have potential to keep going. And it's going to be a hard task for people who are motivated, who have some motivation and who have some gifts or talents or who are doing well to continue, because they're probably not being invested in as much as they need to be. And this is going to be quite a harsh analogy, but negative people in our society are like a cancerous tumor. If anybody has had experience with cancer, cancer cells are just cells that are multiplying rapidly out of control. And one of the things that's bad about a cancerous cell is it's not efficient. It doesn't efficiently work when it comes to burning fuel and energy and things like this. So when a tumor begins to form in a healthy tissue, it quickly starts to redirect blood vessels and create blood supplies to draw to itself, because these cells are rapidly multiplying and they're not using the energy and the nutrients in an efficient way. So to stay alive, they quickly start drawing blood, nutrients from the tissue around, obviously starving the healthy tissue in order to keep itself alive. And that is what's causing the organ failure and the eventual death, because the body cannot support these rapidly multiplying cells that are literally draining all the energy out of all of the tissue. When we have mainstream media that promotes the whole culture, gang banging, irresponsible behavior, children growing up too fast in certain aspects and basically being stunted in others. And let me just relate this to the black community. If you have children who are being over sexualized at a young age, you could ask a young child, and I remember as a girl getting copies of Cosmopolitan. We all know that Cosmopolitan is being sold to very young girls, but you have things like Position of the Week in there. And it's like, I'm sure there wasn't an age restriction on Cosmopolitan because we would buy it even in our uniform. But these young girls are gradually being groomed in the area of sex. They are over-sexualized. They know how to have sex. They don't know how to form healthy relationships. But when it comes to things like business, the other side of relationships that's not related to sex, like communication, respect, submission, gender roles and things like that, those things are not talked about. So people are stunted where they need to be mature, and they're overly mature in areas where they need to wait a bit before they start getting into those types of things. Because like the junk food, the reason why you go to it even though you know it's bad is because it gives you pleasure. So we need to be balancing, or in the black community, we really need to be swapping what we value as important and what we take the focus off of. Because in my opinion, the things that are glamorized in the black community, like gangbanging, get rich quick, doing crime to get money so you can have the latest fashion, knowing the latest dance, being sexually active. These are all the kind of things that eventually lead people into the problems that they then have to come back from. And I'm not trying to police anybody's genitals, because obviously everyone's free to do what they want to do. And I'm one person with one voice with, next to no views. But I'm still going to put it out there for that one person who might watch, Everything has a repercussion attached. You're not just snatching that phone on your bike. You're not just robbing that chicken shop. You're not just acting rowdy in the bus like the girls that I saw yesterday, a group of schoolgirls. I was so embarrassed because they're, leaping on each other. One has one in a headlock, and then after half of them got off, one turned around and she was like, "You're an embarrass. Your sister and her friends are an embarrassment." I'm like, I don't want to call it little girl bitch, but I was like, you hang out with them, you associate with them, so you like that, but now you're embarrassed because you realize a lot of people are looking and shaking their heads, and you just feel shame, but I lost my train of thought now. But I was so embarrassed. But these are the things that are normalized in the black community, And these are the things that stop black people from being able to compete, because we are looked on in a certain way and we normalize things that shouldn't be normalized. We glorify things that shouldn't be glorified. And as a result, as we go down the line, we're not able to either compete or come back because of the mess that we kind of created. You know, everybody loves a comeback story, but what doesn't really get discussed is how many people didn't come back. How many people died as a result of their drug addiction? How many people are bums on the street because of their alcohol problems? How many people, you know, had the potential to be great, but, you know, now they're doing basic jobs because they weren't invested in? How many people went out into the streets and never came back except in a body bag? I mean, maybe that's why people love a comeback story, because they're like, damn, at least you came back. You came back with your faculties and all your limbs kind of thing. But this mindset of, I want to see you turn your life around, is a disservice to the people who never went wrong in the first place. You're rewarding bad behavior, and anything you reward is going to grow. Anything that you feed is going to multiply and it's going to spread. And people see these rappers and these ex-dope boys who are like, I used to gangbang, I used to be in the streets, I used to do this, and now I turn my life around, and everyone's got the Kleenex out, patting their eyes, oh my God, I'm so happy. But it's like, it's not fair that, you know, and people might say you're an elitist, which is shaming language. You know, they can say I'm a white supremacist, I'm a coon, you know, I'm a Sambo, I'm a hater of black people. If you love the comeback culture, you are somebody who doesn't love black people. I'm just going to say it like that. Because the productive members of the black community need to be invested in. They need to be pushed. They need to be supported. They need to be shown love. They need to be respected. You know, one of my videos, I'm going to have to do a bit of research, is the movement SYSBMs, you know, Save Yourself Black Man. And, you know, in that video, you know, we need to talk about men build communities, okay? They are the ones who lay the roads. They're the ones who, you know, risk their lives in their jobs. They're the ones who go out every day to put food on the table for their families if they love their family. And when you don't invest in your sons, guess what? The whole of society is going to collapse, because no matter how much you promote equality and, you know, this word can is misused. A woman can be an engineer. A woman can be a doctor. A woman can be an accountant. A woman can be a builder. We know they can, but how many actually are? And they're not they're not doing these jobs, not because of the glass ceiling and the misogyny. It's because we don't want to do it. I know I don't want to do it. You know, I might sweep the streets because I can be on my phone. I know you can be on your phone. I've seen people sweeping the street and they're talking on the phone. Okay? No manager, no boss over your shoulder. You're out in the free air and you just push your broom. And, you know, I shouldn't even bait this guy up, but there's a guy who used to clean my block. And I know he must have either a child or another job, because he would come on the block, sweep the block a little bit, leave his trolley bin thingy with the broom in the middle. And I watch him get in his car and drive away. Okay? And then come back like hours later. So obviously if his supervisor or his manager were to appear, they'd assume he must be round the back somewhere sweeping, because that's why the trolley's there, right? No, this dude has gone somewhere and then has come back. Maybe he's gone to pick his child from school, I don't know, but there's ways to cut a corner when you're doing that kind of work, right? But I lost my train of thought again. But what I'm saying is this. if you are doing certain jobs, right, most people don't want to do the jobs that the average man is doing. Sun is beating down on you, snow is falling, and you're fixing telecommunication cables and, lugging bricks. When there's a heat wave, guys still have to climb the scaffolding. Women don't want to do those jobs. And they're lying to themselves when they try to say, oh, a woman can do this and a woman can do that. The door is right there, but none of them want to go through it because they know deep down that's not for them. But they don't want to respect men who do actually do those things. So, I don't want to talk over my next video, but if you don't respect your men, you won't have a community. And that's the next video I'm going to do as well. Do black women actually want a community? Or is that just a talking point? Because if you're not investing in your sons, there's no way you can have a community. And a lot of the young men who could have been great, are demoralized because they see the ones who are not doing much or bringing much getting all of the special attention, and it's not right. It's like only a small percentage of people in the world, not just in the black community, but in the world, are millionaires. Very few are billionaires, like a handful compared to the population of the world. And people don't realize that the reason they elevate things like the X Factor and these shows where you appear out of nowhere, sing 5 songs and you get a record deal, is to sell you a dream. It's to sell you a dream that it could be you. But how many of us have realized a lot of these people who win these talent shows, after 1 or 2 songs or, a couple of years of success, they just disappear into obscurity. Sometimes the winner doesn't even do very much, but the person who came second or third, they actually become a bigger success. It's all about selling a dream. This dream that, you can always bounce back or you can come back, or the miraculous is going to happen. I mean, I'm not saying that miracles don't happen. I believe miracles do happen. But it's like they're just trying to sell people this idea that everybody's got, is going to be a star. And that's just not the truth. Everyone being a star and rags to riches and everybody bounces back, these are just ways to keep people feeding into a system. I was listening to a panel recently, and the brother was saying, like, you might go to a casino and lose, with £500 or $500, and you win 100 and you leave with 100, and you're like, I won $100 or I won £100. But what they don't tell you is, I went in with 5 and I lost 4. When you look at the overall net movement of growth and positivity, have you really gained 100 or did you lose 4? It would be better if a higher population of black people strove to be business people, small business owners, entrepreneurs, or educated in fields where they could just have a good, decent income that they could invest in their community, than everybody, striving to be a celebrity or an athlete, a rapper, an Instagram model, something like this. Because the vast majority of people are just losing money, like going to the casino with 500 and coming home with 100 and thinking you've gained something. You're constantly feeding a system that is not going to pay out at the end. Yeah, you might get help. You might get, charity, or you might get, support from an organization. You might get a property. You might get a scholarship. But if you went to prison, how many years did you lose? What does your credit look like? You know, the children that you had when you went to prison, how are they doing now? You missed them grow up. Okay, how much stress did you put on your family knowing that you were running in the streets? You know, how much money was wasted trying to bail you out and fight court cases, and, you know, how much child support are you on? You know, that one night stand, or, you know, that chick that, you know, you knew was no good, but you still dealt with her anyway. Was that moment of pleasure really worth 18 years of child support? So this idea of the prodigal and the comeback kid and the, you know, the rags to riches, all of these dreams are designed to keep people not making responsible, rational, long-term decisions because they have that hope. And there's nothing wrong with having hope. We have to have hope, which is an expectation something is going to come through. But your hope has to be grounded in something more than maybe this is going to be my record deal. There's nothing wrong if you've got a talent and you want to go on X Factor. I'm not saying don't go on X Factor. I'm not saying don't go on a talent show. I'm not saying, you know, don't try your luck. But we have to be realistic. Even if you want to start a business, most people probably will need to have a job, because you're going to have to juggle earning money from your job to invest in investing, to invest in property, to partner with other people, to support causes, to, you know, come together and buy property or whatever it is. The income that you get from a job, which most people have, is what you're going to be able to pull together to start building little by little. If I build here, you build there, the other one builds over there, that's the building of a community. Not hyper individualism and, you know, looking for one savior like a Robert Smith to come through. Because people are not, and this is the whole point of the video, are we raising Robert Smith? Whether he has a white wife now or not, you know, or, you know, other celebrities and athletes, are we raising men to be like this, to be successful, to have wealth passed down to them, to have a certain mentality? If we're not raising men to be able to think a certain way and to be successful, if we're not investing in them, then the burden on the handful that manage to drag themselves up is way too big for them to turn back and help. Just like a body that's riddled with cancer eventually has to die because there's way too many defective cells sucking the life out of the handful of healthy cells that are now left. And you can say what you want. Oh, how dare you call a person who's dysfunctional a cancerous cell? But just like that cancerous cell, everything around it is affected. Because think about it, not just everything in the body is affected, everybody around that body is affected. Because when you have that diagnosis, people have to start taking time off work to care for you. You have to take time off work to go for treatment. You know, when you have your treatment, people need to assist you to arrange things. You know, if you're having chemotherapy, your immune system is compromised. So everybody has to work hard to keep the environment sterile. Just those handful of defective cells in your body has long-standing repercussions for everything around it. You and the people around you, they have to start preparing for the fact that you might not make it, which is putting pressure on them. If you lose your battle, people have to start making arrangements to you know, give you that farewell. That handful of defective cells is a big, big problem. And negativity spreads so easily that a handful of negativity, whether it's, and I know a lot of people say, oh, well, it's not the video games, it's not the music, it's not the TV programs, but everything contributes. Everything contributes. Because we are conditioned through the music, we're conditioned through the shows, we're conditioned through the mainstream media, we're conditioned through social media, we're conditioned by the news, the narratives that they push. Movies are more real than the news. Because the people who make movies know what's coming down the pipeline. But the news is only about promoting a certain narrative. But again, this is, going to go into the SYSBM video. A lot of people are scared that the more productive brothers who have managed to pull themselves up by their bootstraps, they are not coming back, because the very community that's now got its hand stretched out at one time was pushing them away. And it's like, why should I stick to the evil that I know when I might get a better deal with an evil I don't? So if black women want more productive black men, you first have to invest in them. Stop coddling and praising the people in our community and glorifying and elevating the people in our community that are not doing the right things. Man, woman, or child. Relative, friend, or foe. Because as women, we like to be like, oh, he just did it, but we make excuses. Oh, he's on my baby, da 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 da. But that keeps these people in a position of laughing at you, because they know that you have a soft spot that they can take advantage of. This is why there's the expression tough love. Everyone knows the story or the stereotypical view. The child breaks their curfew and dad locks the back door or the main door, and in the middle of the night the mum will creep down and let the child in. I can imagine that's quite tough as a mother, knowing your child is outside. But there's I once heard a story. I don't know which bird it is or how true it is. I think it's maybe an eagle or something like that. A child found a chick. The egg had maybe fallen out of the nest or something, and the chick was in the nest trying to break out of the egg, and the child helped the top of the shell off so that the chick could get out easy. And you think, wow, that's nice. The chick is struggling, battering, trying to get out of this egg. Sometime later, the child came back and the chick was dead. And the child later learned that the chick has to learn to break through that shell in order to learn to have the resilience to fly and to fight, to live. Because even in a nest, the runt of the litter often won't get food. This is why when you see puppies, kittens, chicks, they're all fighting. Because the one that fights the hardest is the one that's going to receive the most food and have the greatest chance to live. And the one that has the lowest chance of living and being productive, unfortunately, often gets less than the ones who fight harder. So the child thought they were doing something kind, helping this chick out of the shell. But what the child actually did was rob that chick of a valuable life lesson that ultimately cost that chick its life. When we coddle people who have no potential, or who are not trying to change, or when we give them special attention because they had that rags start, and I'm not talking about, you come from an abusive background, you're a child who came from a troubled situation, and you went into care and You know, you made mistakes because you didn't even have a chance. I'm not talking about those kind of people. I'm talking about people who actually haven't really got an excuse to go and do the crazy, dumb shit that they do. You don't live in a ghetto, but you want to go and be hood. I'm talking about those kind of people. You think being hood is cute. You think that being gangster is cute. So you have the opportunity to be a productive member of society, but you choose to sag your pants and roam around like, the stereotypical thug. It's those kind of people that I'm really talking about. Those people shouldn't get the pats on the back for going astray and coming back. Because the energy and resources and praise and reward that should have gone to the people who never got into trouble is now being redirected to people who just don't deserve it. And when you don't exercise tough love like that child who gets locked out, they learn, oh, as long as I can find a sucker I can play on their sympathy, there'll always be somebody to open that back door for me. This is why we have a culture of narcissism, of usury, where people just take but they don't want to give, because all of this liberal inclusion and soft love, and we always have to include everybody and make excuses and make concessions. It's made people weak. It's made people weak, and it's made people selfish. It's made people entitled. You have not brought anything to the table, but your hand is always outstretched. You don't support anything, but you want to demand. And the people who aren't, who weren't even on that path, they're thinking, why the hell should I waste my time when I can go and get more for doing what's wrong? This is how hoe culture has spread. A lot of validation, thirsty men online running around these women who have nothing to offer except for a handful of half-naked pictures. And people look and think, well, more power to you if you've got a beautiful body and you're in your 40s and 50s or whatever. Okay. But I'm seeing more and more of these older women trying to outcompete young girls, walking around in these tight leggings and yoga pants, trying to look cute with their ponytail. And they're like, look at me, I've got it just as much as the young girls. And I'm like, people trying to double back now because they didn't have it when they were young. Because they see it's so easy to get a lot of male attention. Just have a big butt, a low cut top, and a handful of skimpy pictures, and you can get thousands of thirsty guys giving you attention and validation. Then what happens? More and more decent women become corrupted because they don't realize that sexual attention is not the same as genuine love. Maybe that should be a video by itself. Just because guys can thirst over you doesn't mean to say that they would take you home to their mom. And when you become addicted to thousands of people liking your pictures and commenting, how are you going to be satisfied with the love of one good man? So over time, this negativity in different areas is just spreading because people keep on promoting what's negative as good. But what is actually good is looked down upon, So what kind of things am I talking about? And I'm probably going to end it with this, because it's really painful to see good men, in particular, being destroyed. Good people, women as well. But the biggest thing is this. Men will do what they have to do to get access to sex from women. So women have to be the ones to elevate what is good and reward what is good, not what is negative. Okay? So when people speak, they speak eloquently. I start with something I'm struggling with myself. Oh, I shouldn't have picked this one now. I was like, when you speak good, when you speak right. Okay. I used the word strove earlier. I'm like, is it strived or strove? Oh, why did I pick the past tense? I should have just picked when you strive, because I know that's correct. Anyway, we digress. When people speak correct English, don't say things like, you sound like a white person, as if only white people know how to speak correctly. Firstly, that's not true. But why are you disrespecting somebody who knows how to string a sentence together? Are you intimidated that you can't speak, correctly? Well, that's your problem, not theirs. When people dress smart and they don't dress like a thug, don't label them as a geek or a lame. Stop using shaming language on people who want to do better. When people don't want to associate with certain people because they engage in effery, hood behaviour, don't look down on them as somebody who thinks they're too good. Maybe they are too good. Maybe they are better than you. When they're straight-laced, when they don't cuss, when they don't swear or lie or cheat, don't call them boring. And I say all of this because we have this issue right now with the so-called pro-blacks and people who are black first and da-da-da-da-da. They're looking to the people who are leaving the black community, calling them sellouts. They're not selling out. They were sold out. They were pushed out. And the same people who glorified negativity and niggotry are the same people who are now with their hand outstretched. Please, like Oliver Twist. Please, sir, can I have some more? Please, sir, can I have some more? And like I said in the April Mason video, I would look at you and ask you, who the hell are you talking to? You treated me like shit. And now you want my help? Doesn't make any sense. Black women. You see a female, she loves her man. The man is decent. Leave the woman alone. Stop hating on the woman because she's got a happy relationship. If you want a happy relationship, do what she did. Oh girl, he's controlling you. Oh girl, you can do better. Oh girl, he's so boring. He's so lame. He doesn't like the things that you like. Leave them alone. Leave them alone. Because I've been there where you have a relationship and your friends who are single start kicking up a fuss. They discourage you from your relationship, but as soon as they get a man, they're ghost. They're gone. I had one friend come back to me after she discouraged me from my relationship, and I foolishly listened. When she got a man, oh, now I understand. Oh, now I see what it's like. Yeah, now I understand. Why? Because when she got her man and she was all wrapped up, you couldn't see her because she's out every day. Did I sabotage her relationship? And then she comes back. Oh, now I understand. Understand what? What you need to understand is you're jealous. You can't bear to see anyone happy when you're not happy. That's what you need to understand. And it's jealousy why people call other women who are submissive and feminine pick-me's. It's jealousy when they see people who have burgeoning careers and you sabotage them. It's jealousy when you tell people prioritize sex and temporary immediate gratification and pleasure over investing in your long-term goals. It's jealousy when you tell somebody, you sound like a white person, you speak funny. It's jealousy. Because those people don't want to do what you did to get what you have. And they're not willing to put in the effort to get what you have. And rather than come up to your level, they rather drag you down to theirs. That's what that is. Keeping people, around who are non-productive and elevating them as shining beacons of society is what's keeping the black community suppressed. Because in other cultures, a person who has a criminal record is a shame. People don't want to talk about them. You could be dead. You're almost counted as dead in some societies. In some societies, if you really break the code, they'll kill you themselves. And we all know that. Their honor and their name is so important that they would rather remove that spot than let it remain and try to cover it. And we have to have the same mentality as black people if we want to grow as a community and if we want to see something healthy in our communities. We cannot glorify the negative while ignore the positive. Because as we feed the negativity, it just grows. Like I said, this was not going to be long, but it's gone to 40 minutes. If you've made it this far, you've done well. If you have any comments, chuck them in the comment section. Thank you for your time. Thank you for listening. Peace.